Noon. It's a kind of an odd time for me to walking, but here I am. All I have to do is go to the grocery store, which is a 10-minute walk, and that's too short. So I'm going to extend this by walking up and along Victoria Avenue. So I'm sure turn it into more of my usual, at least a 40-minute walk. Probably not an hour. Excuse me. It's very pleasant. I've got my hat on, but I'll probably take it off after I've walked a bit. It's +1, I think, today. So it feels very mild and springy. More seasonal. And I think there's some more snow in the forecast, possibly too, so everything will get freshened up again, whiteness-wise. So we'll walk up Angus Crescent here. I don't usually walk this direction along Angus Crescent, so you should check out my walk last night. In the dark, it was very pretty downtown, especially with all the lights on the little outdoor rink down there with the Frost Festival going on. I never really go to any events in the Frost Festival, but I'm aware of it. It's probably a little slippery today too, so I'll have to be careful about that. Got a piano tuner coming at 6. Piano has not been tuned in far too long. It's so far gone at the moment I can't stand to use it, and I need it because I've got a few singing engagements coming up. So getting that tuned. It's at 6, as I said. I always see dog walkers. Hello. The piano is interesting because it's about 100 years old. It's a Kanabi, which is a very high-end, was a competitor of Steinway, actually. It was the preferred piano for vocal accompaniment at the Metropolitan Opera in New York at the time, in the 20s. We know it's about 100 years old because it has a sticker in it that says they'd won a gold medal at the 1918 World's Fair in San Francisco. And then the factory went out of business in Pennsylvania in 1929 with the crash. So it was clearly built sometime in that 10-year span, which means it must be just about 100 years old. Could probably find out more specifically. It'd probably take some work, though. There must be a serial number, and probably somebody somewhere could match serial number to year of manufacture. But I don't think it matters that much. So it belonged to Madame Burkett, who was one of the early voice teachers in Regina, very early. And she was friends of my wife's grandparents. My wife's grandmother, Nancy Goodfellow, was a very talented singer, one of the founders of the musical club, did recitals herself. She may even have studied with Madame Burkett. When Madame Burkett, who was from England originally, retired and I think moved back to England. She obviously wasn't taking her baby grand piano with her, so she sold it to my wife's grandparents somewhere around 1950, somewhere along in there. And it's been in the same room in the house ever since. When we had renovations done, it lived in the house. They put it in a box on wheels so they could move it around as need be. So it hasn't moved more than a few feet from where it is now for well over half a century. But before that, Madame Burkett apparently lived on the top floor of an apartment building, which I've occasionally pointed out behind Safeway, which is where I'm going to end up today, but at the end of the walk. And she couldn't stand to have anybody live above her, so piano's been up and down the stairs there in that apartment building at least twice, which must have been a huge pain. We'll go down College here. Again, there's ice and then there's water on the ice. So I do have to be very careful in many spots. And even though it's above freezing, in the shade, it generally doesn't thaw when it's this temperature. So you go from all the water on the streets, but in the shade, it's still pure ice. And then sometimes it's a mixture, ice with water on top of it, which is the worst of all, like right there. And then some places, if the sun can get at it and it's been well cleared, it's melted right off, like this bit, which is nice. And there's puddles to watch out for too. I know who lives here. I've been in there a few times. Mother of, well, I know her, we know her, and her children were good friends of Alice. Alice, by the way, had a great opening night last night at Hard House at the University of Toronto in Into the Woods. She's playing cool. Really bad stretch here. Let's just get off of that. She's playing Jack's mother, as in Jack and the Beanstalk. And yeah, they had a good opening night. My wife got to see it. I didn't, unfortunately. Saw some pictures. Anyway, she was very pleased with how it went. If you happen to be in Toronto and you'd like to see my daughter perform, get down to Hard House tonight or tomorrow night at 8 or Sunday at 2. That's when there's a matinee performance. I was hoping this side of the street would be a little more melted off than it is, actually. In places it's not bad, but some places it's just worse because of the ice under the water. This is just a proper puddle to avoid. Just don't want to get any. The boots are pretty good, but if it goes too high, the water will get into them, which would certainly make for an unpleasant walk. This is slowing me down, that's for sure. Here, water on ice again. There's always a risk of getting splashed too if some jerk goes by that isn't being careful. Now my intention is to potentially cross up here, or if not at the corner here, then because I'm kind of on the wrong side for that, maybe I'll go up one more block. Cross where there's a light. This is a crosswalk, but it's technically on that side of the street. Well, maybe it's on both sides. I guess it's on both sides. And here we got pretty good pavement that's reasonably clear, so I'll walk along here. Seniors Activity Center over here. You can see how the snow turns far less white once it starts to melt on one side. So I can walk at a proper speed here. This is the Neil Balkwell Civic Arts Centre, and the Art Gallery of Regina is in there. It should really be on the opposite side. I'm supposed to walk on the side facing traffic, but when there's nobody coming, I'm going to walk where there's no ice, which happens to be right down the middle here. It's nice to have this clear bit of pavement where I can let my legs out and walk my faster pace. You still have to be a little careful because you never know when there's suddenly going to be a patch of ice. Not walking through the park today. Going on up this way. Working my way up to Victoria Avenue. Down by the Lawn Bowling Club. I haven't been over there for a while. Got another scene written in the script for the Second World War musical that I'm writing the book for, from a story provided to me. Music, lyrics, story are all done. Well, initial draft of them is done. And I'm just writing the book based on a story outline I was given, scene by scene breakdown. At the moment I'm just writing it, but I can already tell it's going to be too long. I'm about halfway through, and I am at page 78. That's 2 hours right there. Probably at least of stage time. And I've still got that much to go, I think. So there's going to have to be some editing. I warned the creator about that. I have more stage experience on the production side as well as on the acting side. So I'm trying to simplify it as I go, but there are still length issues for sure. Anyway, you have to have something written before you can start shaping it. So, and who knows, I might even end up directing the thing. There's no roles for me yet. Despite me writing it, I haven't written myself in anywhere. I might end up as the director. You can see that happening. Okay, we'll go this way. Hopefully this side is reasonably clear in spots, or at least not slippery. This is 15th we're walking along, in case you're wondering. So far, nobody has said hello, so perhaps I am walking alone today. It is an odd time for me to walk. A little bit, although I guess often when I'm walking home from downtown, it's about this time. I am taking off my hat, at least for a while, for coolness purposes. Not to look cool, but to be cool. I'll never look cool. Not doing this. I look like some sort of live streaming geek. There's the park over there. Oh, someone said hello. Now having said that, it's too bright for me to really read it, but yes, Regina. Hi, Daniel. Indeed. I do have to watch my footing over here too. Any place where the sidewalk has not been well cleared, which is most of it, unfortunately. It can be slippery, water on the ice or packed down snow. Everything has that tired, hasn't snowed in a while look. Needs a refreshing few centimeters of snow, which we'll probably get sometime in the next couple of weeks. Freshen everything up. It's still too early to expect it all to melt, so I don't expect that until March at the best. And March 21st, of course, is officially the first day of spring, but usually there's still, most of the snow is still on the ground. April, you can maybe hope that it'll all go away, but you'll probably still get some more just when you think it's gone. Just when you think you're out, they suck you back into winter. I guess over here, because of the piled up snow, you're not getting a lot of melting on this piece of sidewalk, as much as you might think on the sunny side of the street. Maybe instead of going all the way up to Elphinstone, I'll walk up here, because this isn't a path I take very often. Just to go up a different street than I walk along, usually. Still haven't quite turned the corner for the walk back. Still heading away from home. Still a few remnants of fall leaves here and there. Thoroughly dried out now. There's a lot for sale if you want to build a house in this neighborhood. There's some newer houses, quite a few along in here. Plus some of the more original vintage still. This is 14th. Actually has a bike path on it, but I doubt you're going to see it here under the snow and ice. All right, we'll go this way now. The busier street up there is Elphinstone. I will have to, no, it's not Elphinstone, it's Pasqua. Duh. Elphinstone is way behind me. When When I cross 13th, it'll be at Pasqua and 13th, but I think I'll go up this one before I make that cross. It smells like coal smoke. It's a smell I know well because growing up, I'm sure they were still burning coal in some of the furnaces at the old Air Force Base where I grew up. We're outside Weyburn, which was now British Commonwealth Air Training Plan base. That had been Western Christian College by the time I got there for 10 years, I guess. And I lived there with my parents when I grew up. And they lived there till the school moved to Dauphin, Manitoba in 1992, and then they moved into town and they lived there the rest of their lives. The school went to Dauphin, was there for several years, occupying a former Indian residential school, and then they moved here to where Canadian Bible College used to be. Unfortunately, finally closed down for good several years ago now. Had a good run, but the world changed and they just couldn't keep going. It's a shame. And the buildings I grew up in are all gone now. I think there's very little of those old World War II buildings left out at North Weyburn. Not that I've been there for many years now. Last time I went out there, they were mostly gone. I think there's a concrete wall that has, from 1972 onward, has emblems for the graduating classes. And our 1976, or 76, which of course was in red, white, and blue, since that was the U.S. bicentennial, and we had several American students. Last time I was there, it was still there. I don't know what that concrete wall represented. It might have been for shooting practice. I don't know for sure. We'll go up here and cross at the four-way stop for safety's sake. By the 7-Eleven. We'll go another block to my right, and we'll be on Victoria, and that'll be the turnaround point heading home again. This can be a fairly busy intersection, but it is a four-way stop, so it should be a safe place to cross. Puddle here to avoid. Okay, one more block up, I'll be on Victoria, which curves up here and comes down to 13th. Doesn't go through. Maybe it did at one point, probably did, but with the Leuven Expressway, or Parkway, I don't know what they call it. No, it's Wascana Parkway. I think it's the Leuven Expressway. Yeah, badly cleared sidewalks along here. Oh, see a train going by up there on the CP line. That's the main transcontinental railway line up there. If you've ever read The National Dream by Pierre Berton. Hello, Theodore. Hi. I'm actually getting very warm. Long train. Ooh, cattle cars? I think those are cattle cars. They're certainly not grain cars. A flatbed that has rolls of steel on it and some pipe, it looks like. And those are oil cars, or might have something else in them, but is that a cattle car? Not sure what that is. Almost looks too sealed up to be a cattle car, but still, could be. And that's the end. I don't have cabooses anymore because of having an end of train unit, it's called. That's the Pasqua down there. Louvain down there. And this is Saskatchewan Drive. And now we're walking up Victoria. We have turned the corner, and every step now takes me closer to home. I wasn't sure how well cleared this side of the street would be, but it looks like this has to be city property, I would think, has run something along it not too long ago. Coming up here on my left is the Lawn Bowling Club. It's been there for 100 years now, I would think. Oh, not yet. This is just a service building of some sort. Lawn bowling is a little further up. It's like gas, that one. Yeah, Sask Energy it says on it, so that has something to do with natural gas distribution. Yeah, if you had kept going down Victoria, you'd end up right down there where I often walk with the Hotel Saskatchewan and the City Hall and Knox Metropolitan United Church, Victoria Park, all that stuff. But I won't be going that far this time. You can see it's actually a big boulevard with a divider down the middle. Very pretty in the summer and spring and fall. Over there, you can see through the bushes, that orange building is Brant Center. That's the main hockey arena. Regina Pats play there. And a little further up, we'll get a good look at Mosaic Stadium, which is where the Saskatchewan Roughriders play of the Canadian Football League. Now we've got the Lawn Bowling Club coming up. See, there's a pretty high bank of snow here. Comes up almost to my waist, so it's a good 3 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet deep. Because of this line of branches, trees, I would think. It made it drift here quite a bit. Also, of course, whenever they cleared this, they threw some that way, but I don't think that has much to do. And I don't know why there are footprints in there, because why on earth would you go up there? Unless you were a kid, likely who did that. I remember snow being fun. I grew out of it. I like the look of it when it's fresh and beautiful. Don't like to shovel it. There we go. There's the Lawn Bowling Club. Leslie Bowling Greens, home of the Regina Lawn Bowling Club. There's a little thing there, too hard to get to right now, about its storied past. As I said, goes back about around 100 years, I think. And the big white roof over there, through the branches, you can kind of see is Mosaic Stadium. Home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We had Grey Cup there, the Canadian Football Championship, back in November. Next up is a playground. Over here. Has not been cleared at all, so. And there's Mosaic Stadium. On the other side of Saskatchewan Drive there. I think there's an outdoor rink over there, although they don't like you to skate on those if it gets too warm because it damages the ice. So, but there are people on it. I see little heads sliding back and forth. This looks like a little patch of ice over here too. She's kind of not exactly skating on, but falling down on. School's out, isn't it? Probably. Could be. Leslie Park, this is called. That would take you to Saskatchewan Drive, but there's no way across there to get to the stadium. You have to go up here to Elphinstone where the lights are. Maybe I'll cross here. That way I don't have to worry about the lights when I get up there. Except to get on across Elphinstone. I walk down 13th more than I do Victoria at this end of Victoria, so that's one reason I thought I'd come along here today. Before 6 o'clock, when the piano tuner comes, I got a lot of stuff I got to move off the piano because in the tradition of pianos, especially grand pianos, it's got family photos and assorted other things on it that all have to be taken off so he can get at its strings. This would be an old house from the look of it. Victoria was the prime road, I guess. So you get, especially as we get closer to downtown, there's some really big old houses here. That's a pretty good sized one there, old fashioned. More on the other side of Elphinstone, though, along here. You're getting more, still fairly old, but ordinary. This would have been a little far out, man, when the city was first growing. These are mostly maybe the vintage of our house, which is also about 100 years old. Some of them might be a little younger. Some might be a little older. It's hard to tell. They're smaller than the ones on the Crescent for the most part. But as I said, as you get further down, you'll start to see some much bigger old houses. Like here's one that's a good size. Not huge, but I'm lucky I'll hit this just as it goes green for me. Should be close anyway. And I want to go down to Robinson is where I will turn right and go on down to 13th because that'll take me across on a pedestrian crosswalk with the light. Still got a few blocks before we get there, though. Because of Alice being in Into the Woods at the University of Toronto right now, Into the Woods has been running through my head. Nothing wrong with having a little Sondheim in your head, though. There's a bigger house. The woods are just trees. The trees are just wood. I, unfortunately, have never been into the woods. I'd like to have been, but never came up where I could be in it. The only time it did, it was at summer stage. And I haven't done summer stage in a long time just because it's summer and it really, if you're doing anything else in the summer, like going away, it's really hard to plan to be in summer stage. And the last couple of times I auditioned, I didn't get in, so I'm getting to the point where there are only certain roles available. Being 63, I can play younger, but not that much younger. Now this is an interesting old building. Row housing, I think, if I remember right. Well, just from looking at it, but you can tell from the design that it's fairly old. This is Athol. They don't have a lot of these row houses. Not as many as you would see in bigger cities back east, but there's one of them right there. I don't know if they're condos or apartments. You see the houses are more of the bigger ones here and there as we keep going this way. There's some quite historic ones along here, as I recall from my book, Historic Walks of Regina and Moose Jaw. Unfortunately, it's been so long since I wrote it, I don't remember the details off the top of my head. There's a bigger, older one. That interesting overhang up there. I find it a little lopsided looking, but they didn't ask me when they built it. Now this is a newer one, you can tell by the squared off. An older, newer one. Probably 50s or 60s. It was probably quite avant-garde for its time. Garnet Street, I used to live on, though much further down. It's a nice one over there. I like the white trim and the Romanesque door, I guess you'd call that. So once you cross over to this block, now they're consistently bigger on that side anyway. And a few have gone over the years, of course. Nothing lasts forever. Like there's a rather uninspired apartment building over there where there was probably a much nicer house at one point. Should be getting close to Robinson. Well, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Jesus loves you more than you will know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God bless you, please, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. There's a big one over there in that corner. Hey, hey, hey. This is a good sized one here, too, actually, of the older style. These look a little older style than ours, so probably getting into the teens here, 1910, 1914. Ooh, Cameron. There's another older one. I like the Widow's Walk, I guess you could call that, up above the porch. And then there's a very interesting one over here. I don't think it's a single home anymore, but this red brick one that's coming up was built after the tornado. And the person who built it was so determined, more regular one over here, looks nice, but was so determined that he would not be victim to a tornado again, that it's made like a skyscraper with steel beams and I think concrete floors and all that. A very, very strong house. Quite nice looking too. I think it's probably been split up into apartments. Yeah, I'd say for sure. But it's still pretty cool looking. Some other older ones over here. Again, we're probably looking at 1910s time frame for these, be my guess. A bit older than ours, which was built in 1926. All right, here's Robinson. So we will leave Victoria Avenue now. Once I go down Robinson and cross 13th, I will be at the grocery store, which is my putative destination, to buy a few things. Then I'll head home, but I won't bother with streaming those few minutes of the walk. So almost done. Sitting on the sofa on a Sunday afternoon, listen to the candidates debate, yeah. Laugh about it, talk about it, when you got to choose. Yeah, when you look at this, you lose. Could you, Mrs. Robinson? It's amazing how much of that song I know. I've never had reason to sing it, but it's been around my entire life. I did finally see Mrs. Robinson, the movie. Not that long ago, we kind of going through a 70s movies kick. I think it's actually a 60s movie, so okay, but 60s, 70s, watching movies that we weren't allowed to watch because we were too young, like Saturday Night Fever and stuff like that, which is way raunchier than I thought it was going to be, Saturday Night Fever. So no wonder I wasn't allowed to go see it. I'm sure it must have been rated R at the time. I sure knew the music, though. Oddly enough, the lyric singers that I sing with, our concert coming up beginning of May is 70s music. And one of the songs in there is a disco medley that starts with, "Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk." That one by the Bee Gees. I don't know if I'll be singing it or not. Probably not. I think there's probably a better falsetto to be had than mine. Mine's not bad, but... Okay, we will cross here now because we have the light. Oh, I didn't expect them to stop. Because here's Safeway, which is where I'm headed. So once I get over here, I will call this quits. So, here you go. A long, long way to get to Safeway, which is like less than 5 minutes from my house. Thanks for walking with me, and I don't know if I'll be back over the weekend, but Monday for sure.